Hey everybody, before we begin, just want to welcome all my new subscribers that I picked up yesterday, and that's thanks to Tommy Robinson actually sharing my video on his Telegram page. I really appreciate that, mate. I know you're too busy to acknowledge this sort of thing, but thanks for that. I know you're busy, you can't always deal with these sort of people, especially when you're there on a platform that you're banned from, as you said in your statement to these people. Pretty much of a cheap shot when the person that you're having a go at can't respond to you. So that being said, thank you to Tommy Robinson for sharing that video out. Also want to point out to people in the underbar to this video, I'm actually on GETTR. Go follow me on GETTR. I'm also on Twitter, so go follow me on there if you've got an account on there too. So yesterday my video was very off the cuff. I was angry. I think most people could tell I was angry from the way I was ranting a bit in that video. And I could have put a few more things in there to make my argument a bit stronger, make the case for Tommy Robinson a bit stronger. And I went back to reread the thread that Sonia Poulton, I think that's how you pronounce her name, have been posting. And I found a few more nuggets on there that needed addressing. This one in particular, it's on the screen right now, and I'll read it out to you. He's in and out of court for a multitude of reasons. My point remains, he is focused on child abuse that involves men with brown skin. That's an agenda. So let's have a look at the first part of that statement first, shall we? He's in and out of court for a multitude of reasons. Mainly those reasons over the past few years have been because he's been highlighting the Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs. The judicial system and the police have been persecuting him because he's shining a light on an area they don't want light shone upon, mainly because of the massive cover-ups in the north that they've been involved in. And that's come to light now. Now the reports have come out, the massive failings of police forces in the north to help these girls just kind of backs up the fact of why they've been persecuting Tommy Robinson in the first place. They didn't want this coming out, and unfortunately they picked on the wrong person, somebody who wouldn't give up, somebody who wouldn't surrender, and he exposed them, and they don't like him for it. And that's why he doesn't have many friends within the judicial system or within the police force. So let's take a look at the second part of this. He's focused on child abuse that involves men with brown skin. That's an agenda. Yes, he does have an agenda. The agenda is to expose Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs. Why is that? Well, the reason is because it's been covered up. It's been covered up for about 20 years. MPs, local councils, as I said yesterday, police, social workers have been pushing this under the rug because they feared being called racist. And that's why I brought that up in the video yesterday, because you are adding to that atmosphere of not being able to let people speak out, because when they do, they get labelled a racist. And you're part of that. With your tweet, you are creating that. Your tweet got over 6,000 likes, and I think it was something like 3,000 retweets. So you're basically perpetuating propaganda against Tommy Robinson. You're part of the problem that makes it hard for these girls to speak out, because you keep regurgitating this atmosphere that if you speak out against these Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs, then in some way you're racist for doing so. So why does Tommy solely focus on Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs? Well, I'll play this video and maybe this will enlighten you, Sonia, as to why he's dedicated his life to exposing these people.
Yeah, it was. We don't live 100 years ago. Yeah, I believe that was wrong.
Okay, and we don't live 100
years
ago.
You believe the Prophet? No, but what was the Prophet Muhammad perfect? Was the Prophet Muhammad perfect? Was the Prophet Muhammad perfect?
Yes,
okay, so having sex with a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. How old was she then? How old was she? How old was she? Okay, 9.
Yeah.
And that's perfect, is it? You're sick barbarians, man. Yeah, it's perfect. See, you're here with a mask up. You're a paedophile. You support paedophilia, and you're here to tell me that I'm wrong. Yeah, you are. You just said it's perfect to sleep with a child.
No, we don't, because how many people in this country they sleep with young girls? 90% of the paedophiles are from English.
Bruv, you believe that having sex with a girl when she starts puberty is fine, don't you?
Yeah, that's allowed.
Yeah, that's sick. You're sick. You're a paedophile. You're a nonce. You're a nonce. You're a nonce, bruv. You're on camera. Take your mask off so the country can see your paedophile face. Let me see you. Okay, so you think it's okay to have sex with a child?
No,
Who starts puberty? Someone who starts puberty.
She passed puberty age, yeah?
So if someone starts with puberty, yeah, then it's okay to have sex with them.
Yes.
So my daughter, who was 9, or 10, is it okay to have sex with her?
Did she pass puberty?
If she's past puberty.
So that was a video of Tommy Robinson outside a magistrate's court talking about puberty with a group of Muslim men. They think it's perfectly acceptable for when a child reaches puberty for them to have sex with that child. Now let's make these definitions quite clear. In their culture, a child stops being a child when it reaches puberty. They class that as an adult in Muslim culture. So you can see why these two cultures aren't really that compatible in this country. And the thing is, when you come to this country, you respect the law. We have a legal age of 16. It doesn't matter what your religion says. That shouldn't matter. When you come to our country, you abide by our laws. And I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I have to say this. This all stemmed from when David Cameron allowed Sharia courts to have some kind of legal precedence in this country. That should never have been allowed to happen. There should be one law for all, and that is the English law. That is the law that we all abide by. And that law states that you don't have sex with anybody under the age of 16. So getting back to the conversation of what you said about Tommy Robinson having an agenda because the people doing the grooming are brown. If you'd have done a little bit of research, if you'd have done what you say that you are, be a journalist, be an investigative journalist, and looked into what you were actually accusing Tommy Robinson of, you'd have found out that he talks about all types of paedophiles on a regular basis on his Telegram. He gives regular exposure to all types of paedophiles, whatever colour they are. If you'd have just checked him out, there's a few on screen now. And I've seen on his Telegram that he also gives exposure to the paedophile hunters who also catch all types of paedophiles. So for you to say that he has an agenda against brown people is just clearly wrong. And if you'd have done a little bit of research, you'd have known that. But you didn't, did you? And let's carry this on a little bit, right? Because I know and you know that if an ITV film crew had gone up there, or whatever film crew, BBC film crew, had gone up to the north and investigated these Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs, you wouldn't have had a problem with it. You wouldn't have said a word about that, because you have an agenda in this yourself. You have an agenda in this yourself, like I said before, to score some virtue signalling points against Tommy Robinson. And this is the mainstream media's agenda. They're trying to control the narrative. They're trying to take this narrative away from Tommy Robinson and say he is just targeting them because they're brown people. We're doing it because we're trying to expose paedophiles, all paedophiles. That's the narrative that you're trying to establish, and it simply isn't true, is it? Because let's say somebody just focused on the Catholic Church. Would you be making the same accusations against that person that they were anti-Catholicism, or that they were, they're racist because they don't like Catholicism? Because that's the same argument you're making with Tommy Robinson here. He's frequently said that not all Muslims do this. He has to say that because people like you would jump on him if he didn't. He's not been convicted of any hate crime whatsoever. And trust me, and people have said this before, if he had committed any type of race crime, if he had been racist in any single way, the authorities, the police, the judicial system, with their hair trigger against this guy, would have been on him like a ton of bricks. And if you do your research about the guy, and you look into what the EDL actually stood for, and you looked at the banners that they used to have at their rallies, Black and White Unite, you would realise that Tommy Robinson has never been a racist. He's never been far right. The far right aren't even welcome at his rallies. He kicks them out. That's the reason he disbanded the EDL in the first place, is because it was being taken over by the far right. And he disbanded it because he saw what it was becoming. And that's when he went on his own and did his own thing. If you'd have researched this, like I have and many other people have, you would know this, wouldn't you, Sonia? But you haven't, because you just jump on a bandwagon and you just go with the flow with all the rest of the mainstream journalists in calling Tommy Robinson far right and a racist. That's what you people do. And that's why I made the video yesterday, a very angry video yesterday, because I'm sick and tired of it. You know, and it's bad, right? I've looked at your Twitter feed. I know that you've had a death threat. And I don't agree with that whatsoever. I've had death threats myself. I know fully what you're going through. But when you've had one and you get several, you start to realise that they're not really meant for you. They're not really going to do anything to you. It's just to try and shut you down and stop you. You shouldn't really take them seriously. But I tell you, somebody who really has been threatened, who has faced threats, Tommy Robinson, he's had death threats. But he's not only had death threats, he's had armed Muslim gangs turn up at his family's house and his parents' house, and people who they think is associated with him. People have actually tried to follow through on their threats with Tommy Robinson for what he's been saying about the Muslim grooming gangs, trying to shut him up. He's had cars firebombed because of what he's trying to expose with the Muslim grooming gangs. Do you see why people are angry now? I've seen the thread. I've seen the backlash against what you said yesterday. And I don't condone anybody making threats against you or anything like that. That's not the right way to go about it. This is the way to go about it. Make a video, highlight your arguments, and then refute them. That's what we have to do. So, Sonia, I know a few people have posted my video to you and have asked you to respond to you. That's up to you. I hope you do respond to it, because that will give me some kind of avenue for a conversation with you about this. Maybe I can get you to change your mind. But me personally, I think you've done what most of these people do, most journalists do. They jump on a bandwagon to score some virtue signalling points. You jumped on a bandwagon. You didn't fully understand the bandwagon that you were jumping on. You didn't research anything about Tommy Robinson at all. And it shows from your arguments, because these are all arguments that myself and others have seen before on many, many occasions. And I just think you got burnt really badly in this regarding your argument. And that's on you. If you do poor research or you do no research and you just make statements on the internet, then you're going to get roasted for it, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully you'll do your research and you'll look into what Tommy Robinson is about, and maybe at some point you'll change your mind. If not, fair enough. This is Vindicator, sign off.